Okay. Give me a second here. I'll bring up the new or the next. There we go. All right. So Dawn of DC kicks off with new titles for Green Lantern, Shazam, Superboy, Doom Patrol, and more. And there's even a little Batman. Hey, surprise, surprise, they're going to do a new Batman book. And I got to say, I do love this image. This is Dan Mora. I think this is the cover of the new Shazam series. And you got Shazam sort of riding on a T Rex. And I got to say, that is cool. That is kind of fun looking. All right. So Dawn of DC is peeking over the horizon with a new publish initiative kicking off in January. And we now have some picture of how Dawn of DC will actually look with a preview of the publisher's plans for the initiative, along with the announcement of 8 new titles scheduled for launch in 2023 as part of the new line. Dawn of DC launches in January with a new coat of paint on the Superman franchise, with a quick expansion into the rest of the DC universe to follow, including the 8 newly announced titles and more still unannounced to follow. The 8 newly announced titles start off with a new era of the Doom Patrol in March, with the title Unstoppable Doom Patrol from writer Dennis Culver and artist Chris Burnham. Unstoppable Doom Patrol spins directly out of Lazarus Planet, in which the world is remade by the power of the life giving Lazarus Pit. And now they have this image of the first cover for Connor Kent's new book, and it looks like this is a mini series. But it's a Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, which saying Superboy, Man of Tomorrow is kind of odd, but whatever. And this kind of is reminiscent. Obviously, it kind of copies his 1990s look. So they're getting him back to his classic look, sort of, to a large degree. And I mean, the image is okay. Then there are a pair of new Green Lantern titles, each focusing on different members of the Green Lantern Corps. First in April, there's Green Lantern Hal Jordan from writer Mariko Tamaki. And an artist yet to be named. Then later in the year, writer Philip Kennedy Johnson will launch Green Lantern John Stewart, also with an artist to be announced. Now, Mariko Tamaki, she's become kind of almost a lol cow on the internet, thanks to that I Am Starfire YA novel she did for DC. What, 2 years ago now, something like that, which was just like a joke. But I have to say, in her defense, she wrote when they did Future State, she wrote Dark Detective, which was basically the Future State version of Detective Comics, and it was not terrible. I mean, it wasn't particularly good either, but it was actually better than I thought it'd be. It was readable. I mean, there were some eye-rolling things here and there, but overall, it was actually kind of a decent book. And then after Future State ended, she started doing Detective Comics, the regular monthly. I bought the first few issues, and again, it wasn't awful. So this Hal Jordan book she's going to do, it might be better than you expect, but again, I don't expect it to be very good. And again, this is kind of my whole issue is that they're not this whole relaunch and rebranding stuff, it's mostly just cosmetic. It's, as I said in my video on this subject, which I did a while back, which was titled "Lipstick on a Pig." They're just splashing a new coat of paint on things, but underneath it's the same stuff. It's the same creators, and it's going to be the same kind of crap. It's I would compare it to rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic while the ship is sinking. It's like, yeah, okay, so what? That's not going to help. Anyway, speaking of Green Arrow also gets a new title from writer Joshua Williamson and artist Sean Izaksky, I don't know, in which Oliver Queen, still missing after the events of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, tries to reunite with his family. Also starting in April is DC Round Robin winner Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, from writer Kenny Porter and artist Janoy Lindsay, in which Connor Kent ventures into space to find a place for himself. And what would a new DC line be without some Batman? In May, DC relaunches the classic title Batman Brave and the Bold, which teams Batman up with a different hero and different creators, such as Tom King, God, and Mitch Gerads, Gabriel Hardman, Dan Mora, and Rob Williams in each issue. What? Yeah, I'll get to Tom King in a minute. And also starting in May is Cyborg, a new ongoing spinning out of Dark Crisis with a new creative team yet to be announced. Meanwhile, starting in June, Batman Superman World's Finest creative team, Mark Waid and Dan Mora, will launch Shazam, an action comedy title starring Billy Batson hanging out on the Rock of Eternity with his tiger pal Talkie Tawny. It's Talkie Tawny, like with a W, not Talkie with an L, but whatever. Who cares? It's not like you need to get it right. What the? Okay. That same month, writer Tom King and artist Stefano Guadiano will launch The Penguin, a new Batman spinoff that brings Penguin out of retirement and into the service of the U.S. government. Ugh. And finally, the eighth title announced is Steelworks, a title pairing John Henry Irons, the original Steel, with his niece and successor in the mantle, Natasha Irons, celebrating 30 years since the introduction of Steel. So basically, she's going to be the main character, and he's going to be like the mentor character, but it's going to be mainly Natasha's book. I think that's what. Okay. A new Penguin series with Tom King. Who the hell wants this? First of all, who wanted a Penguin book? I have to think that they're doing this because after the that Batman movie last spring with Robert Pattinson, they had the Penguin in it, sort of. I mean, he's supposed to be the Penguin. Was it Colin Farrell? And Colin Farrell gave a good performance, but that character, he's really not the Penguin. I mean, they basically stripped everything that makes the Penguin distinctive away from him. So he's really just like generic gangster. And for some reason, they're hell bent on making a streaming show with this Penguin character. Um, because and apparently there may be other uh content featuring Batman's villains coming in the future because that's what everyone wants. We don't want another Batman movie. We want spin-offs about Batman's villains, apparently. And I'm sure that's why they're doing this series, but Tom King again and I just stop. What is with DC and Tom King? He's like DC's crack. I mean, they cannot quit him. I'll try maybe and review some of the issues of that, but I don't know. My guess is I won't be able to take more than a couple of issues of this Penguin series. I tried to do that Rorschach series he did and also that Adam Strange book, but I swear after about 3 or 4 issues in, I was just like bored to death and just was like, why am I doing this? This book sucks. All right. So, and this is more just promotional gibberish. So I'll go ahead and skip that. That's not important. And I'll go ahead and move on to the next article again.